Hi there, beautiful dreamers. Welcome back to Emmy Soleil Dreamwork. Are you perhaps one of those who have noticed that the latest time has brought with it not only an intense feeling of stress, physical reactions such as palpitations, high blood pressure, as well as emotional reactions stronger than usual? And besides these things, there has also been anxiety and insomnia among a lot of people. And the reason for this is by some said to be the Schumann resonance. And yes, it has been some peaks there, but not as high as expected given these reported reactions. There was actually a higher Schumann peak in November, but still the reactions are more intense now. And I would like to tell you there is another reason for these reactions, a reason many do not know about, but the Dogon people has an old prophecy talking about the day of the fish, in which the earth gets to be purified. And this purification takes place with the help of the essence by Dogon called Niyama. And that comes to earth as cords of rain. The origin for this Niyama essence is said to be the one only visible star in the Sirius star system, the blue star by Dogon called Sigui Tulu. So I will go into that subject in my newsletter for January. But I feel as well that it is on place to mention this prophecy because it has without doubts begun to be fulfilled now. And this Niyama essence affects people in the same way that really high Schumann resonance does, and it has a kindred effect too, but it's more complicated. Anyway, shortly, if you feel these really weird reactions and has felt that for a time now, don't be afraid, just stay calm and try to withdraw from outer situations and events that do not promote your peace in mind. Everything that you carry inside yourself rises up to the surface to be taken care of due to this purifying energy, and thus a lot of fear will arise, and the best you can do is to take care of that fear, follow it to its roots and heal the original cause. Because there is always a cause for how you feel, react, and to how you express your fear. Even if fear is all around us and triggers us to be even more afraid, and we think this is pretty much all we can manage right now, there is for sure an initial fear inside all of us that needs to be dealt with, that awaits us and wants to become the raw material for the greatest strength ever. And this strength is yours if you transform your fear, because then you will be able to choose peace in mind, even if the world is seemingly a mess. And I know I'm going on about this choosing as if it was the easiest thing ever, but I know it isn't. And that's why it's so important to start dealing with your fear. Even if we try our best to flee from the fear, it's there anyway. And the reason is that all fear is to be found inside ourselves, even if the triggers as well as the consequences are to be found on the outside. And a good side of this is that when we find the fear and deal with it, we can transform it into the strength. And this is what we shall do. And now let's look into this transformation subject and take a trip to the wild side. What would you say is the strength of a tiger? They take on extremely dangerous prey, navigate without problems in darkness, and are physically pretty unconquerable. So there is a lot of strength there, but what would be the most prominent one? In my old dreams, the tiger has been a subject for quite interesting intrigues. In one dream, I smelled the tiger's presence in the wind, with all senses open and tense like a gazelle ready to flee. And in another dream, the tiger turned into a teenage son. This unusual transformation went from at first adopting a dangerous dog, which I thought I would manage through equal parts of severeness and love, but when the dog then turned into a tiger, it became a lot harder. I had to control it with my mind and could not by any means be distracted, because then the tiger would attack. Then it suddenly turned into being a teenage son. And this didn't make any sense, I thought, when trying to understand the dream, but through some thorough dream work and deep digging, I could find this teenager's son's synonym in Khan, the middle son, in I Ching, the Book of Changes. And this Khan could be said to be someone that can handle the abysmal and dangerous, as well as being able to be exposed to uncontrollable forces. And the character of basic trust and intuition is found in his essence, and on the contrary, there is a lot of anxiety there too. And he is as well connected to the element of water. So there I was in full responsibility for this teenage tiger son Khan, who had to be controlled by a really strong-minded willpower. I realized in the dream that I would probably never ever be able to sleep again. I would have to stay in control, awake all the time. And that kind of tense state really does not promote relaxation or inner strength at all. So obviously this tiger represented an unintegrated instinct on the first level of dream interpretation within me. Something that I had to control, an inner strength that could help me handle dangerous situations with basic trust and intuition. But I had a tendency at the time to be more anxious and feeling afraid than having that basic trust. Thus I needed to work with this abysmal tiger energy, learn to understand it and become able to use it. And animals such as predators most often initially appear as conquerors in dreams. They awake primal fear inside us, which we have to meet and work with in order to overcome and transform it into strength. When that happens, the animal once in a while becomes a power animal, but not all animals do. They can as well function as fortifiers for another already present power animal, as in coming with a clue that was missing and needed to be inserted to the understanding, like learning a dialect to an already known language. So it turned out that the tiger represented such a fortifier in my dreams. I had been dreaming a lot of it, but not quite as much as I had been dreaming about the bear. The tiger was really just as scary as the bear had been in the beginning. I was really horrified in my dreams when suspecting it was in the area, but in time we became the best friends, me and the bear, and I had myself a soul ally for the rest of my life. Actually, she came with me from earlier incarnations, and this was clearly showed in my dreams too. And then the tiger came, bringing just as much fear as the bear has done initially, as said, and it brought with it a clue to add to the understanding I had, that kind of a paralyzed feeling of fear, making you freeze to ice, needed some kind of understanding. So when it came to the bear, I had transformed this initial fear into love for Mama Bear, and I could just slip into that feeling like into an old warm familiar dress the minute I started to remember her inside myself. And this remembrance came to me when processing the fear of facing her in my dreams. So then finally the bear came to be the most awe-inspiring one, the most powerful shelter ever. She became my strength. So the tiger wasn't the shelter to me though. It was pure fear. I couldn't explain why it filled me with such fear that I froze, totally paralyzed when dreaming of it. I had never seen any movies where tigers attack people, and they for sure were not a natural element of the nature, like the bear was. I had seen a gruesome movie about bears, but not about any tigers. I remember in that horrible movie called Grizzly, this man-eating bear was the reason I didn't dare to go into the woods anymore, and I watched in my early teens, and it totally demolished my confidence in walking and wandering off in the woods. And anyhow, I started to get a hint about a possible reason for the tiger fear when I had a horrible dream about losing my daughter in a snowstorm and knowing a tiger was in the neighborhood. The dream was really real. And I was in shock a long time after waking up. And this was in the early 2000s, and my daughter was just a few years old. And when she was about 10 years older, she told me that she had a dream about being attacked and eaten by a tiger in a snowy landscape. Need I say, I had goosebumps all over. She asked me if there really are tigers where there is snow, and I actually had to look it up. To my kind of clarifying shock, Siberia is the place one can find tigers despite the cold. So I knew there are snow leopards there, just like there are lynxes in our woods here, but I didn't know there were tigers there. And the shock came from the fact that when I had earlier started to, through dreams, remember the most prominent life connected to the bear, this was in Siberia. As it turned out, the dream in which I lost my daughter in a snowstorm was most probably a memory coming from that incarnation. We were on a journey through a snowy and cold landscape, and it didn't fall out well. I lost her, and she could fill in the lines later. So when she as well had information from her own dream about this, I understood the fear of tigers was most probably a common memory. Yeah. This Siberian life was, as said, the life where I connected to the bear as a power animal. I had an encounter with a bear that left me with scars coming from the claws that stroked one of my cheeks in a blow that would have killed me if I had been an inch closer to it. In many dreams, these scars have been called my family mark. I have looked at my face bearing these marks of the bear claws in kind of a primitive mirror, and the face I had was quite different from the one I have in this life. So in that life I was on a search, initiated by my great-grandmother, who was a shaman, for my power animal, and I was supposed to learn all about it, and I was supposed to find a small fox or a squirrel, perhaps a bird, but I found these large bear tracks, and I couldn't just let that go. What I learned the hard way was that when you see bear tracks in snow, that is because it has come up from the winter rest and it's hungry. And I have no idea why it didn't eat me. Perhaps something scared it and it ran off. But anyway, so I have been tracking that bear in many of my dreams in this life. Knowing in each dream I most probably would have to deal with great danger, fearing it at first, but daring it at last when the fear changed into a feeling of longing to find it, because the bear tracks didn't only lead to a near-death experience in that old life, it also led to personal strength. But in the end it turned out that that strength didn't protect me or my daughter from neither the snowstorm or the tiger. So when having begun dreaming of the so gruesome tiger, feeling tormented by fear, I received an important message from a dream. A voice said to me the following words: "The tiger's strength is in the bear tracks." This message meant that by tracking the fear instead of fleeing it, I would be able to transform it into strength. Obviously, I wouldn't track a tiger in real life, and I don't encourage any acts of danger, but when having an old trauma, no matter if it comes from this life or an earlier, or even from your ancestors, if it's really inside you and fills you with terror, it needs to be healed and transformed. The tiger dreams awoke the kind of horror since there was no healing coming with the actual incident back then. There was still blood in the tracks. Now, though, the fear presented itself as possible strength. I needed to be reminded about tracking the bear, following its footsteps, to be able to look fear in the eye, to dare it. But how to possibly dare the fear of a tiger? What is comparable to that? Well, I had a phone call from a very dear friend of mine some weeks ago. She wanted to tell me about a dream she had just recently. Before doing this, she asked me if I remembered her tiger dream from about a year ago, and I said yeah. Then she told me that she had to stop her car on her way home from work the other day. She lives quite rural and there is forest along almost the entire route. And when stepping out of the car, she, to her surprise, noticed that she was on the exact same spot where she was in that tiger dream. So let me tell you about my friend's dream from a year ago. I walk along the road leading to V. It is between the villages of R and L. And I find myself a spot where I have never really reflected on before. I walk on the right side and there is forest on both sides of the road, and next to me water is flowing in the ditch in the same direction as I walk. I have an unknown animal on a leash with me. I don't know if it's mine. And I crouch down and throw something small and white or yellow in the water, maybe food for fish or something for the animal on the leash, like a toy. Out of the corner of my eye, I see something in the forest on the other side of the road. When I turn my head that way, I see that it is a giant tiger crouching like a cat, ready to take a leap. I get up and stand all relaxed and straight-backed, facing the tiger. Just as he is about to take the leap, he looks me in the eye. Then he turns off and runs into the woods again. This is for sure a dream coming with strength. The number one rule for a conscious dreamer is to look into the eyes of the animal when having an encounter. That takes a lot of courage and training. The dreamer met the gaze of the tiger and the situation didn't turn into fear, even if it at first was ready to take that leap. Just because the dreamer had that confident and secure appearance. As you understand the fact that my friend subconsciously stopped the car at the same spot she had visited in that dream, isn't a coincidence. I have to tell you as well that this dear friend of mine is one of these really brave ones who has spent the night alone in the forest, knowing there are bears and other wild animals around. And this for sure is the tiger strength found in the bear tracks. Actually, she accompanied me on the cinema showing that terrifying grisly film back in our childhood, and it scared her just as much as it scared me. So I would say sleeping alone in the woods shows some exceptional bravery. Now I want you to listen to the next dream my friend had, the newer one. My son Jay, who is now younger, maybe in his earliest teenage, wants to go to a special event in town. Maybe it's about computer game carnivals or something like that. The theme is anyhow yellow. Jay is not allowed to go to the event himself, and I drive him to meet his dad at a predetermined place in town. So I stop the car outside an old restaurant opposite another old pub looking like before. There are a lot of people out there, and Jay wants to go to another place to meet his father and points at the store. He's wearing a yellow full-body suit looking like the cartoon figure Hobbs. I even think he's yellow in the face as well as painted like a cat. I follow him with my eyes to see that he actually enters through the door. And then Jay's father shows up wearing a yellow t-shirt and says quite sharply to me, "Well, and where do you have Jay? Have you lost him? Typically you, not being able to do anything right?" All relaxed, I say to him, at the same time as pointing at the store, "No, he's in there. I can see his yellow legs." I look calmly at Jay's dad, who now leaves, obviously annoyed. After my friend told me about this dream, I asked her if she knew that Hobbs actually is a tiger. She became quiet for a while and then she said, "No, I didn't." In the dream, her son was dressed looking like a yellow cartoon tiger, while his dad had a yellow t-shirt, and yes, the theme in the dream was yellow, which relates to solar plexus and the subject of self-confidence. The fact that the dreamer was able to be relaxed when meeting her former partner's lessening words in the dream, in the same way as when she looked the tiger in the eye in the earlier dream, tells about that she has worked a great deal with her self-confidence through life. The curious fact that her son was symbolized by her subconscious mind as a tiger cartoon figure tells the length of this work. Her son was in the dream quite a bit younger than he is now, and the town had as well an older shape, and this scenery clearly takes the dreamer back to when she was about in the same age as her son was in her dream. And then he represents an active aspect, a way to act that came to be very familiar, since he wasn't born obviously when the dreamer was in the same age. So wearing this full body suit looking like a tiger aims at working hard to gain self-confidence, since the theme is yellow. These kind of themes always stay as long as they need and bring us the challenges we need to overcome and transform fear and obstacles. The hard work of a really conscious soul results in being able to not only stay firm against that kind of accusations shown in the dream, but also against the tiger on its way to take a lethal leap. This means having transformed initial fear into a force that turns into basic trust and intuition in dangerous situations. This is the strength of the tiger. A transformed fear, and the fact that the tiger appeared in a child's costume suggests that the tiger is a power animal of hers originating from earlier incarnations, a strength she was able to slip into, like the way I did with the safety coming from the bear, like into a comfortable pajamas or full body suit. She was reminded of this in the first tiger dream, when the tiger comes out of the woods, which represents coming out from the unconscious. That symbolizes the moment of recognition, just like the dreamer would say, "There you are," and the tiger answers, "Yes, here I am." The thing is that she, without knowing it, called upon the tiger. She called upon the power animal in that dream. She had an unknown animal in a leash, not knowing if it was hers, clearly leaving an open door to the understanding of the tiger as her power animal. And the fact that she puts things in the water connects to the teenage son, Khan, whose element is water. And when doing that, the tiger came. Isn't that beautiful? So, finally, what about this fearless element of the tiger, that almost magical aura it has? I think it is well said by Robert Blake in this well-known poem, starting and ending with the same verse. "Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry?" A fearful symmetry aims at something almost larger than life, something unconquerable, so terrifying and yet so beautiful as this sublime element of lethal perfection. Fear in a moment of transformation into strength. Can you find that special fear inside you? Look upon the goings on in the world and follow the thread that triggers your fear. Take it deeper and find a situation in which you have felt a similar fear before. Bring that fear up to the surface and communicate with it. What message does it bring to you? Listen carefully to find out if it's a message of more fear or if there is a possible understanding in there for you to work with. If you find only fear, look for its opposite, because every emotion carries with it an opposite. Every time you feel fear, stop and listen. Hear it out and deal with it. Don't let it be overwhelming in the way that you can't get out of it on the other side. Just communicate with it. But if you're there and you have support by someone you trust, you shall know that the deeper you go, the closer you get to the point of real transformation. Know that you are strong. Remember your strength. Call upon it and search for it in dreams and synchronicity. Call upon your power animal and let it tell you your common history. Everything is there inside you. So thank you, dear ones, for listening. And I wish for you all a peaceful Christmas and a happy New Year. We'll see each other in January. And for you who haven't yet subscribed to my monthly newsletter, you are most welcome to do so at www.emiasoleil.com. Just join the mailing list at the top of the website. And please do as well keep supporting my YouTube channel, and as always you are welcome to contact me at emiasoleildreamwork@gmail.com. And bless you all. Bye.